Whose is this?
Hello, welcome to Garagecast. It's another bright sunny day, and we are sitting here with, to my left,
I'm Ellie, as always, tattoo artist out of California, and Aiden will not be joining us this week.
he will not.
He is with his dad and our editor Darby, hanging out. And so we have a new special guest star here with us.
In front of us is...
My name is James, and I'm here. They drugged me out of my labor camp that I'm usually stuck in over the weekend, and now we're here, and I don't really understand what's going on. But you can catch me on Instagram at hashtag #BluePixel, @BluePixel.
As much as all of that was false, his Instagram is not. James is a very humble and yet very talented photographer. His
Thank
pictures
you so much.
are very, very cool.
He's also a very sensual man. He's got a very calming voice, so we understand if you fall asleep to this podcast this time around.
He may or may not be a vampire.
That is very true. He definitely has the look of a very sexy vampire. I would not be surprised if in a parallel universe James was Robert Pattinson in Twilight.
I cannot confirm nor deny this.
Speaking of cannot confirm nor deny, hi, I'm Who's. I'm a producer and student.
Did you do the intro and not introduce yourself?
Yeah, I wanted to introduce you guys first. I'm a humble host.
You can be humble.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You're gonna question my authority on this one. Like, I'm just a very humble You matter. James matters. I
We
wanted to
all
get you guys
matter.
out first.
You matter too.
Who's
Who's
this?
matters?
At who's.music on most things, or just at who's music. Oh,
Who's
who's
music?
music. My God, I had a brain aneurysm.
I like who's music.
Who's music?
I like
who's music?
that,
Yes,
yeah.
you know.
Musica.
I was Big Stoopy for a second. I very much apologize.
Was that your previous rap name? Big Stoopy?
Big Stoopy? No, that's my alias.
Okay. I like
Whenever
it.
I like decide to get rowdy, yeah, it's Big Stoopy.
Okay.
I'm throwing out stoon pies into the crowd.
Please don't.
I don't have a list in front of me today, so I can't do any segues, and I'm kind of lost. I don't know where to go in life.
Well, you know what? You should ride that segue into the Game Awards, which are going to be on this December. Good segue. And
It wasn't, though. You just said Game Awards.
Hey, wait, can I make a segue about segues really quick?
you want to make
Yeah.
a segue about? I'm talking about
Really
like the
quick.
riding segues.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
Did you
I
know
know.
that
See?
the inventor of segues died riding a segway off a cliff?
That is such a mood.
That's a
You
real
create
fact.
something that becomes so evil that you just have to ride off into the sunset with it.
Correct.
Well, I mean, into the sunset or into your death, because that's what he did.
You created the segue. What else do you
Also,
have to do?
was it like daytime when he did this? Did he
I
like
think so.
knowingly drive a Segway off a cliff? Like, I've invented Segways, there's nothing left for me in life. And he just like went for it?
I think he was like leading a tour group or something like that, and he just was a little too.
Could you imagine you're just like following the dude who created the thing you're writing, and he just like coyote drops off of a mountain?
So if you look to your left, you'll see these peaks are really steep, and you need to be careful not to. Oh no!
No, his voice just trails off, and to your left you can see.
Yeah, because he definitely didn't scream when he started falling.
He made the segues. He was at peace with his death.
Oh no! Ah!
When you type in
Ellie,
Segway inventor into Google, the second autocorrect result is cliff.
Ellie,
So-
would you scream to your death if you like were about to die?
Yes.
That seems surprising for you.
Yeah, all the people in the old folks' home will be really, really disturbed.
Why?
Especially considering it'll be when I'm like 20.
Yeah, why are you in the old folks? Is that where you work currently? Or
No.
Why are you in the old folks' home?
You know, there's some things about this mystery that we just can't know yet.
It's like a meme from 2030 we don't understand.
Yeah.
Why is Ellie in the old folks' home?
Old folks need tattoos.
That is a good point.
Maybe old
There
folks
you
need
go.
tattoos.
Untapped market.
Some 70-year-old grandma needs that Homer Simpson butthole tattoo.
Fun fact, some of my favorite clients have been older.
That's
They've-
really sweet, actually.
They're really, really nice. Yeah.
Well, I mean, hey, might as well tattoo your body when you're on the verge of death.
I don't think the older people I'm tattooing are on the verge of death.
You
but
don't know that. You could be on the verge of death.
I probably. We all technically
technically are on the verge
are
of
always
death.
on the verge
Have
of death.
you met my stomach? We're all on the verge of death.
Oof.
Riding that knife's edge, baby.
Riding that segue into the Game Awards. So the Game Awards are coming this December. I'm the best at segues.
That's not a segue. You just said the thing. You can't be like, good segue. Let's talk about beer now. Like,
You don't understand. I was writing that segue. Ignore my fucking music. I was writing that segue into the Game Awards, like Jeff Keighley probably would, because he's a
your
nerd.
segues are the equivalent of riding off a cliff.
You rode that transition
I
straight
rode
to
that
the Game
transition.
Awards.
I am that transition. So I wanted to ask you two. Usually the Game Awards are kind of this like big gathering of game developers just having a nice little circle jerk, and it's fun to watch as a consumer. However, the nominees were just announced for Game of the Year, and I want to get your guys' opinion on it. One of them we've talked about before.
Is it Death Stranding?
The 2019 Game of the Year nominees are Control, Death Stranding, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and Outer Worlds.
Okay.
Literally 3 of those we talked about on the previous episode.
We did. So I now want to ask both you and our new guest, James.
That's me.
How you feel about these nominees. Are they worth it? Do they deserve to get the award? And which one do you think will get it?
I will also say before James speaks that he is one of the most avid gamers that I've met. James plays video games, I would say, almost every day, right?
Which is why this was a good topic for him.
I tried to, yeah. I honestly think Death Stranding is going to win.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed by that review. Only
Have you
because
played it?
You've played it?
I'm like 40 hours in.
What?
Really? This
And-
isn't. You're the first person on this podcast who's actually played it. We've only talked about it in like the ominous, like someone who's seen it from away, and it
Sure,
just seems
sure.
like more Kojima being Kojima.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not Kojima making an anime. It just feels like Kojima being Kojima.
I will
Yeah.
say that everything Kojima makes is an anime, but James is a huge fan of anime, so continue.
Big true.
So one question before I want you to go off into a tirade about Death Stranding.
Okay.
Is it true? Are you what console are you playing it on?
I'm playing it on PS4. It's only on PS4.
Okay. Is it true that when you pee in the game, your PS4 light turns yellow?
Your what, sorry?
The PS4 controller light.
Oh,
Does
you
it
know,
turn yellow when
I've
you
never
pee?
paid attention to that, but
Oh,
I'm sure it
interesting.
does.
I've
Yeah.
heard so.
When
Anyway.
you're taking a controller rumbles.
Is
So
it, are you serious?
I'm dead ass.
Wait,
yeah.
you can take a in Death Stranding?
You take a dog. You got to take a regularly.
The amount
All of
bleeps
that
is
is
bleeps.
Oh, sorry. You got to take a big poo poo sometimes.
Yeah, you gotta take a big stoopy poo poo.
And when you take a big poo poo, your controller rumbles.
Oh my god, that is
Yeah.
great game design. How
I
much
can't
money do
wait
you
to
think
listen
that
to
cost?
this later.
That's a
How
great
much money
question.
do you think that cost to put poop mechanics into
put-
the game?
Honestly, no price is too high.
Right, anyway. So what is Death Stranding like as someone who's 40?
Is there like extreme nudity in that game?
No, I mean no. There are. If there wasn't, like there's a shower in your room and you take a you
not.
you poo poo and you pee pee. Sorry, Darby. But when you're in like everything, you do everything in your shower, and there's a convenient like sensor bar that like either shows like the weather or like something that's happened in the game, or ads for what's that guy's name? Keenan Regis, the guy in Walking Dead.
Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus. Thank you so
There's
much.
ads for the main character you're currently playing as?
Yeah. Well, ads for his like Ride with the Dead, you know, that like the talk show that they do. Sometimes they should.
What? Wait.
And the whole way, hold on.
Wait.
No.
Are you telling me there's real world ads?
Yes.
In this fake video, not
And
fake, but video
How
game?
do you think
And you're-
Kojima got the money?
Correct. And here, I'll tell you guys another thing. Your canteen is filled with Monster Energy drink, and that's not a joke.
Excuse me?
Pardon?
Are you saying that a man travels like leagues across land and drinks no water and only Monster Energy drinks?
How yellow
That's
is
what I'm
his
saying.
piss?
It's very yellow. You actually get.
Can't sustain yourself. Disclaimer for this podcast and anybody playing Death Stranding: you cannot sustain yourself in life drinking only Monster Energy drinks.
If Norman Reedus can
don't
do
know.
it, we can.
Drink
can.
water.
Doritos and Mountain Dew. That's all Norman Reedus needs.
And
He
actually,
doesn't drink Mountain Dew. Only Monster Energy
Only-
drinks.
that's correct.
TM.
That's-
I apologize. Monster Energy. Which flavor of Monster Energy? Do you know that?
Classic green.
Is it?
It's like literally, and in your private room, there are like 8 cans of Monster Energy just like sitting
What
around.
is this product placement?
It's so good. And every time you piss, sorry, pee pee. Every time
you
you
can say
I think
piss.
you can say piss.
I can say
Piss
I can
isn't
say
a curse.
piss. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Do you want to just keep the theme though? You just want to keep saying pee pee?
I'm gonna keep saying
You do a little
pee-pee.
bit more of an Italian accent on it.
No, I'm gonna.
No.
It's gonna be censored for
No.
being racist.
Not after last episode when I inadvertently said a racial slur so many times because I can't.
Racist to make an accent.
It's yes, it is.
What of Italian?
Darby, cut all this out. James, continue. Death Stranding.
So anytime you make,
Taking a pee pee. All right.
anytime you make it to pee pee, the game collects your bodily fluids
Give
and
up.
turns it into grenades.
You turn your body to
Wait,
what?
Yeah. Every time you take a shower, you take a poo poo, you take it a pee pee. The shower thing that you're doing all this in turns it into grenades because your bodily fluids are harmful to the ghosts that BTs. Excuse me.
Just say
No.
Yeah, there's a little toilet that pops out.
no.
You're just,
just
killing
gotta-
yourself anyway.
You just gotta push it through the grate.
Okay, wait. Can you, without giving spoilers for this game,
Yeah.
explain what the hell is going on?
So, can you even, without spoilers, explain what's going on in this game?
Without spoilers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a delivery man.
That's it?
That's it. It's just
At this point, I check my watch. Yeah. No. So I mean, you're a glorified delivery man trying to reconnect America. There has been an event called the Death Stranding, where the bridges between life and death are like non-existent anymore. Everything's just kind of together. And when that happened, whenever people started dying, they started turning into things called necros, and they're giant, like godlike figures that I don't entirely understand. And a lot of crazy shit's happening that it's very Kojima, but it's very good. And your entire job is pretty much reestablishing the connections between the people in the like destroyed previous America.
And this has to do with a baby you carry around. How?
BB.
BB?
They're called bridge babies. BB for short.
Bridge baby.
And they're
Norman Reedus and the Freaky Fetus.
Norman Reedus and the Freaky Fetus.
correct. That's a lot of the game.
So, do you use the baby to go into like the death world?
Not exactly. Oh man, I don't know what's spoiling and what's not. The baby. I'm just gonna say this.
Anybody listening, we're
Yeah.
gonna give you about a 5 count in which Parker and I are gonna say something, and then after that, James is gonna give us a brief little spoilers of Death Stranding, because I'm good with that. Are you good with-
I have no interest.
Yeah,
in
no,
this
I would
game
I would love
whatsoever.
to actually gain some interest from listening to
You're 40
this.
hours in, and you seem like you all absolutely don't know what's happening. That's not a game I want to play myself.
No,
The
I'm
5
so
count's already
lit.
started. Something.
5,
Something.
4, 3, 2.
You're supposed to say something. I said we're gonna say something. You haven't
Okay,
said something
you didn't
yet.
say something as in like actually something. You gotta clarify that to me.
You gotta. You gotta.
Hey James, what's Death Stranding like?
All right, that was it.
So what I was gonna say about the BBs, they are stillborn babies to stillborn mothers. So there are.
Kojima.
I know.
What the hell?
There's a lot of going on.
That was all bleeped.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of effed up doo doo going on.
There you go.
Thank you, Darby. And so anyway, about the BBs, they're stillborn babies, but they are kept alive through something that even the people who are doing it don't understand. Using chiral technology. I'll get into that later. But pretty much you have it in this little pod that keeps it pretty much time locked, and they can only be used as equipment for like a year. And everyone in the story is like, don't get attached to your BB. It's just equipment. We're gonna have to destroy it. Like, just don't get too attached. But they pretty much, you connect to it, and there's this like IV that you put into yourself, and you like literally connect with this baby, and you don't go into the afterlife. But the BB, excuse me, is used as like a sensory device, and it connects to this like kind of robotic thing on your shoulder, and it helps you tell when there are BTs nearby, which are people who have died and turned to necrotic, like ghost-like figures, and you can't see them, but your BB can see them. And so as you're walking around, this little sensor will be like, there's one right next to you, but you can't see it.
So real quick.
Yeah.
So you have to move away. You have like a hot and cold sensor hooked up to a
Yes.
dead baby that you have to run away from.
The baby is
alive.
technically still alive.
It was
Just
born.
stillborn.
It was yes.
He's alive for about a year. I just want to. I would love to know what happened between Silent Hills and this, because if this was the plot of Silent Hills, I'd be very concerned.
Konami went,
Yeah.
Kojima, you need to calm down. And Kojima said, I will not. I'll make
will
Death
not."
Stranding instead.
Kick me out of your studio. I don't
Do you
care.
think Konami just heard stillborn babies used as like distance devices and went, "We're done. This is it. We're good. You spent like millions of dollars on Ground Zeroes. We're done."
Hey, can I tell you a thing?
What was up?
I have to get this game now.
You have to get Death Stranding. Am I going to watch you play Death Stranding?
Yes, you are.
Are we
Honestly.
literally just going to traverse around America with a stillborn baby?
Honestly,
Oh, can you clarify something for me?
Sure,
I've
please.
heard this game has multiplayer aspects in it.
it does.
Are you all Norman Reedus?
So the multiplayer aspects, you never see another player.
What?
You never see another player, but you do see the things that they build and the signs that they leave. You can kind of leave signs like almost in a Dark Soul way, but you can't like type in or put in pre-selected words. It's just like a symbol.
Wait. You
Yeah.
said build. There's
Yeah.
a building aspect to
There's
this game?
there's a large building aspect. Yeah. When you first start, you just have like ladders and like climbing ropes. So if you want to get up something or if you want to get across something, you can like put a ladder down to like cross a river, because if you're like carrying a bunch of shit and there's like a strong flowing river in front of you, you can get knocked down and all your shit's gonna flow away. And then you have ropes that you can, like, if you're trying to get down from something, slam it into the ground and you climb down. And when you're running around the world, depending on your connection level, you get to see other players' structures. And there's a lot of other things you can build, but since you voiced some interest in playing, I'm not going to say everything.
Fine.
Yeah, but you can build a lot of shit, and you see other things that people build, and there's no like currency in the game. You just have likes, like Facebook, like thumb up likes.
Really?
And other players give you likes for your structures, and then you run around and give them likes back.
Can you buy anything with your likes?
I've
No.
heard that Kojima wanted the player interaction in this game to be only positive.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
We had a
It
past
is.
Garagecast episode where I was talking about how I really enjoyed the toxic masculinity of some multiplayer games that have been
Sure.
coming out recently. And
No,
Death
this-
Stranding
I will-
is the opposite of that.
It's 100% the
Disclaimer
opposite.
again: who's likes the ridiculous and bad nature of toxic masculinity as a thing to laugh at and enjoy as the theater of ridiculousness,
Sure.
not
Yes.
that
A
he
genuine-
thinks toxic masculinity is good or
It's
should be
awful. Or
perpetrated.
cool.
Yes. But I will always have a fun.
What would you do without me? People would just think you're an awful person.
That's how I live my life, Elanthrus. It has gotten me this far. I very much have nostalgia for the old days of Modern Warfare 2 lobbies where just anything,
It's dirty.
anything
Dirty.
possible was just getting flung at you, even if it didn't apply to you.
Correct.
It was so good.
As someone who uses a mask in Wasteland to like have a small amount of anonymity that I actually use is the exact opposite.
Sure.
As like everybody recognizes me by my mask because it's like almost a social experiment of like, do you need to know what someone's face looks like to know them as a person? The
Yeah.
answer is no, you
Yeah.
don't.
true.
You just need to listen to their podcast.
No, you don't. That's proven by anybody who you make friends with online who you've never seen what they look like.
Certainly, yeah.
And the thing is like as someone from that side of anonymity, having people who just have anonymity, who I can't pronounce that word correctly, anonymity, they use it to be awful people.
Generally, yeah.
Just the worst kind of human being. And I feel like somewhere in like with the age of the internet and all of that, they're like somewhere in between my use of anonymity for good and to like help mitigate anxiety as opposed to like people having anonymity and just being the worst kind of humanity.
Yeah.
There's the future lies in between those two things, and I don't know if I'm excited or terrified.
Find out, eh?
I think a healthy dose of both is what keeps us human. Being both excited for what the future has to come and also realizing humanity will turn it into dirt.
I thought you meant an equal dose of being a terrible person and being anonymously good.
Well, I mean, you could argue that too if you wanted to, but I really don't have a standpoint on that one.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
So, you would. Let me ask you one question: Is
Yeah.
Death Stranding fun?
Oh, man. It's hard for me to put it down.
Because I've heard a
very
lot
fun.
of people have mixed opinions on if
It's-
the game is actually fun to play.
It's the kind of game where if you don't like it, you're not going to play 5 more hours and then suddenly realize, oh, I like this. Like, it's from when you pick it up to when you put it down. It's not the same game, but the same core.
Is
feel
it like
is
a
there.
walking simulator in a way?
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that, yeah.
Okay.
Combat should be avoided as best as possible.
Ah, okay.
I might really like this game then.
It's very fun.
Because any game in which they're like, hey, combat exists, but maybe it's not the best choice.
Yeah.
Is like that reflects a lot like what I personally try to do with my D&D campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Like combat is fun, but do you really want to get into combat? Like if you
Right.
get stabbed with a sword, you're not going to do well.
No.
Probably going to die.
And pretty much everything in this game is like, if, well, I've already talked about the ghosts. Like you can kind of fight them, but if you're like actually like carrying cargo that you care about, you know, you're actually doing a mission, it's a very bad idea. Like you can probably get out of there, but you shouldn't just try and stand there and fight them because they're gonna fuck you up. They're gonna ruin your goods. Even if you survive, all the shit you're trying to move is gonna be damaged, and that's the important part.
So, just Ellie, go ahead. I'm sure you have a question pertaining to Death Stranding.
Oh, it wasn't. I was actually going to move away from Death Stranding.
So
but
I just want to ask you one last question about Death Stranding as we move forward. Ellie has described to me you're a very avid gamer this year.
Sure.
Would you call Death Stranding a game of the year? Like
he did.
he did.
I did.
He started this by saying
He
Death
did?
Stranding
Okay,
is going to
correct.
win.
Thank you for clarifying.
And-
I got confused by the stillborn babies.
Until I play Death Stranding, right now my pick is Resident Evil 2.
It's fair. Well, I haven't played Resident Evil 2, so
Resident Evil 2 is a great like redesign of an old game.
sure.
It's a great. Why can I not?
Do words good.
Yeah, I can't remember. What is a redesign of an old game called?
Remake?
Thank you.
Remaster.
It's a great remake. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word.
What would you do
hard
without
word.
me?
Go back to ripping off mob bosses? No.
Clapping
you
on my plastic cup.
Put
Oh, did I?
liquid in my
Oh,
eye.
I'm so sorry. Squirt.
So we yep, I've lost everything. Oh, Resident Evil 2 is really good because the combat system is somewhere between what they were originally going for like 5 and 6. But I can tell you the actual dread I felt when I popped a zombie in the head and then it fell over and got back up
Only to get back up. Yep.
because they're hard to kill in that game.
Yeah.
And like that makes sense.
It does.
And the thing is that you're not Leon going through years and years of fighting zombies. It's you're Leon, and these zombies aren't easy to kill. And the first time I saw a licker, I ran because no.
Yeah.
And even someone with like years of playing all the Resident Evil games, I knew to conserve ammunition, run when you have the chance, don't fight things, like do the strafe around zombies. The zombies are like good at grabbing you, and the lickers are awful. And the mechanic that I learned, like not even immediately through the game, but I tested and I was super worried about it. Lickers don't have eyes; they can't see you.
Oh.
They hear you.
You got to be real quiet.
So you don't have to fight lickers if you crawl past them.
Oh man.
But the more noise you make,
Yeah.
including reloading your weapon,
Yeah. Sure.
they'll hear that and they'll go investigate.
Right.
And they'll start walking towards you. And if they touch you, it's over. They'll keep attacking you.
Yeah.
And once they like know where you are, it's not like you can just like stand still. Like once they've
they'll
found
find
you, they're hunting you.
Yeah.
But like if they don't know you're there, they might not know you're there, and you can sneak past them, and it's super nerve-wracking.
That is terrifying.
And again, it's one of those games where like combat is good, but do you want to fight if you have the option not to?
Yeah. Do you want to risk it for the biscuit?
The other thing is, like, as a survival horror game, they reintroduced Mr. X, which was part of the original Resident Evil 2 game.
Right.
But his pursuing you is awful because you can hear his footsteps echoing through the police station, and he's just relentlessly pursuing you.
I've seen videos. Yeah.
Also, the best mod of this year is someone replaced the Mr. X music with X gon' give it to you. So that every time he appears, it's just X gon' give it to you. And like you can hear it muffled behind walls as he's coming. It's great.
That's very good.
Speaking of games that also give you an option to not do combat and even reward you with it, my game of the year is Outer Worlds. Easily.
I haven't played Outer Worlds, but I'm very excited to. Heard good things.
As someone who is still currently on his first playthrough, just absorbing absolutely everything.
Sure.
It's everything that I love about a Western RPG, personified and almost perfected.
Okay.
It still has the quirks of, say, like a Fallout New Vegas, which is probably my favorite video game of all time.
Obsidian's a great company.
Oh, they're so good.
Can I make a comment about Outer Worlds? Have you finished it yet?
No.
Okay. This isn't necessarily a spoiler, but Outer Worlds, on like when they were first talking about it, they claimed that you could kill pretty much anyone. You can't break the game.
Oh, or is this what you're going to talk about?
I'm going to talk about this.
Is this about Phineas?
Because I've seen so many videos where people are doing exactly that. They're saying like they're killing everybody. They're trying not to break the game.
Anyone, yeah.
I will tell you, as soon as I heard that, my first thought in the game was I played through the game normally, immediately picked it back up, went through the whole thing and just killing everyone, every single person in every single town.
Sure.
Because if that's the claim they're going to make, I'm going to push that.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the reason you can't break the game is because the main quest givers, there are two sides you can side with. You can side with the board or you can side with Phineas Wells.
Okay.
And Phineas Wells, the entire game, is behind a sheet of bulletproof glass.
I see.
Spoilers, small spoilers going for Outer Worlds forward, just so you know.
So, hey Obsidian, and like the board, the people you side with, they also kind of have like a behind bulletproof glass aspect of their game, but at a certain point, you can choose to instead get access to them and shoot them, but then it defaults back to you having to side with Phineas Wells. So there's no
100% way to kill.
There's no 100% way to kill everybody. Somebody wrote an article on it, and they said that they just got to the point where they sided with the board, and they left a board member in a situation in which they had to rescue them from. And if you didn't rescue them, that person like logically would starve to death, and they just turn the game off there. But that's not an ending. My thing is like there is an ending where like Obsidian like has a laugh, and they're like, "Yep, that's what you did. That's the end of your game." And I'm not gonna say what that is.
Sure.
But there's a point at which it just like cuts to a game over screen because you messed up, and it's a joke. It's funny.
That's pretty good.
Because you have to do a really egregious error in order to do that.
Okay.
But the thing is like, hey, Obsidian, why didn't you just let us kill Wells? Why didn't you just like let us kill Wells, kill the board? Why you wrote all these intricate and beautiful storylines, and then you preached that you couldn't break the game. Would it really have been that much work to just put in you even give an achievement for Destroyer of Worlds? Like when someone does exactly what you said they were able to do, why don't you just let us kill Phineas, kill the board, and just have an ending in which the stranger woke up and was just death, Destroyer of Worlds? Like, why? There's not an ending for that. There's not, despite the fact that they're like, you can get all these sad endings by like all of your crews basically just dead. They don't even get like an outro. There is no Destroyer of Worlds ending. There is the Phineas Wells ending and the board ending, and that's it. And there's like a bunch of different your choices affect the ending.
Sure.
But the overall ending is either A or B.
Which is, as someone who hasn't finished the game, and I don't really consider that spoiler, because to me, the game is...
I tried to keep it very vague.
I appreciated that. The game to me is the extra stuff kind of sprinkled around it. I've never played Fallout, or these Western type RPGs, even like Elder Scrolls, for the main line. I always play it for the side stuff around it.
Sure.
That's disappointing, considering what Obsidian was able to do with New Vegas. With, you can side with 1, 2, the middle, or yourself.
Right.
And to hear the Outer Worlds has a very, streamlined, it's either one side or the other, slightly disappointing. However, it still does not change the fact that the side content they put into that is amazing. The gameplay is fun, the gunplay is very weighty, the modification system is great. The companion characters, I believe there's only 6, and 5 of them have some really great written dialogue that make you really invested in the characters, even if some of the missions aren't as good as other missions.
Right.
Did you play through all the companion missions?
No.
You definitely should.
I played through a majority of them. I didn't care about some companions. One of them, they're like, hey, go repair the AI cleaning bot in your closet. And I just went, nah.
He's the cutest thing possible.
I haven't even met that character. I just went, nah.
His name is Sam. He literally, all he talks about is murder and cleaning. He's the best.
Good boy.
He's also great when you're going to one of the big monster areas, because he just wrecks shit. He has corrosive energy that he just sprays on everything. He's great. I don't know if it's possible yet. No one tell me. I'm trying to romance the AI in the ship. I love Ada and I want her. She's the best.
And we learned more things about Who's that we didn't need to.
It's not a real life application. She's just very cute. That's all I'm gonna say.
You ever seen Her?
Pardon?
The movie Her?
Yes, it's very similar to that. I want my character to put her on a flash drive and just carry her around. Or I'll happily give up one of the companions minds to put Ada in it. I'll take Felix. That's fine by me.
Okay.
But Felix, is that his name? The one you hated.
Yeah, I did not like Felix.
No, you didn't. Outer Worlds is great. However, I am a bit of an Obsidian fanboy, so I understand if other games get that position. Surprised to not hear Sekiro from either of you.
Sekiro is very good, but it's very derivative, not in a bad way, but it's I feel like it's very derivative on Dark Souls, and they do a lot of interesting, unique things with the game. I haven't beaten it yet, but I've spent at least 20 hours or so. Yeah, right.
As someone who did beat it, good luck.
I appreciate that.
It's also not rewarding enough for how hard that final boss fight is.
Sure.
Usually you get the sense of accomplishment and reward. When I finally beat the boss, I went, yeah, and then the ending was sure, okay, but that's every FromSoft game ever.
So speaking of which, Alenthers, I know you're a very huge fan of Bloodborne.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's
I will say, I take back everything I said about FromSoft endings with Bloodborne.
Which is what I wanted to
fair.
ask.
Yeah.
Comparing, because Sekiro and Bloodborne to me are very similar titles. Let me get through. They're FromSoft games,
right,
that are not the main Dark Souls line,
right,
that in turn have created their own side franchises,
and
that's where the comparisons stop.
They have unique mechanics as well.
Sure.
So I wanted to ask, as someone who loved Bloodborne, what are the things Bloodborne did right that Sekiro did not?
Okay, so Bloodborne, I'm biased. I'll just say that right up front because as much as H.P. Lovecraft is a terrible person, disclaimer, don't read H.P. Lovecraft's books unless you can handle like the worst scum of humanity's kind of writing. But he touched on something that a lot of authors have done very well with since, which is like the weird horror genre. Sure. The idea of like the unknown being more frightening than like seeing the monster itself. The idea of like, oh, space big, and ocean big,
and the outside of our perception big.
Yeah, what can't we see? And like even as you were talking about Death Stranding earlier, like how much more frightening is it that you can't see some of the necros? Like
much more terrifying.
Yeah. Because the fear of the unknown is much greater. You're not afraid of the dark. You're afraid of what's in the dark that you can't see.
Yeah. Well put.
And so Bloodborne itself does really well with that whole like you don't know anything about what's going on. You're a stranger in a strange land, and as you go on, you start realizing like maybe I don't want to know what's going on. And it's very ham-fisted. It's very like, ooh, cultists and plague and monsters and people losing their minds, and it's very Lovecraft in that like there's like a town and they've gone crazy, and like pretty much the DLC town is just Innsmouth from Lovecraft books, and like it's good. I really like it. I really like all the like Lovecraftian horror bosses and monsters and things like that, and I love the ending. We do Bloodborne spoilers.
Bloodborne is 4 years old and it was only on PS4, so we're gonna put there's a lot of spoilers in this cast, but it is Game of the Year stuff. We are allowed to talk about spoilers. Big spoilers for Bloodborne story. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bias review.
Okay, so Bloodborne's endings, one of which at the final boss, he's like, it's time to wake up. I'll free you from this dream. And you let him kill you. You just like kneel down and cut your head off, and you wake up in like the quote unquote real world as like the sun is rising on Yharnam. The entire game takes place at night,
right?
And then you see Yharnam in the sunlight, and your character like wakes up in an alleyway and like looks around confused and stumbles into the like towards the sunset, and that's like the best ending you get.
Sure,
like that is you got out. The whole thing was some weird, strange dream, or was it like? You survived the night of hunts, and like they talk about how like the hunter's night is like one night, so like you survived the hunter's night in that, and Gehrman freed you from the dream. The second ending is you fight Gehrman, and you kill him. You take his place, and you become the dude in the chair, the master of the dream, the person who's stuck there for eternity, watching over like the endless night of hunters, and like that's not good either. That's really bad. That's real bad.
So both endings you've described are awful.
Well, one of them isn't. One of them is like you wake up,
and then you just continue your life as if.
It's also the easiest ending to achieve.
Sure.
You wake up, but it's like, was it a dream? Was it fake? Was it real? And you woke up? Is it still there? It's like,
do you wake up in a new world, or do you wake up in...
You wake up in Yharnam, and the sun's rising. It's like, it's over. And then the other one, you become the master of the hunter's dream. And the last one is you collect, like, all of these, like, old god vestiges as you travel through Bloodborne. And when you kill Gehrman, the eldritch god of the hunter's dream descends down and is like here to mess up your day, and you kill the old god, and then you become an old god. You become an eldritch, like a fledgling eldritch being that the doll picks up, and it's just like, oh, good hunter. And like,
oh, that's when she's holding the weird baby.
Yeah,
that's the weird little fetus. Yeah,
you become like a fledgling eldritch being, and like it's implied that the doll is going to raise you to be like a weird eldritch god of your own, and like that's unsettling.
A little bit.
So one ending that's just kind of, oh no. Another ending that's, oh no. And then it's like, oh, that's kind of nice.
One ending that's like, oh, it's kind of nice, is the Gehrman like waking up in the other thing. And then the other ending, I guess, yeah. I was assuming you were going in the order that in which I described them.
No. There's one ending where you wake up and your nightmare is over. There's one where you become the man watching over nightmares, and there's one that you become an eldritch god.
Yeah.
Which I don't care what anybody says. That's not fun.
No, that's bad.
This was real
That
bad.
is big bad.
You think
Yeah.
Cthulhu has a good time? No.
Sekiro has a lot of, like, I would say, like, is it Japanese mythology
Yeah.
in it? Yeah,
it is.
Japanese mythology. And, like, it's very, like, samurai, the game, with the same sort of, like, FromSoft difficulty, and you're fighting through, like, feudal Japan stages and fighting, like, bosses that are akin to feudal Japan, and, like, there's some bosses that are very cool.
Yeah. Totally.
Very, very cool. And there's, like, a lot of mechanics in that game where, like, even, again, sometimes it's better not to fight.
Absolutely.
And I very much enjoyed Sekiro. I don't like the final boss.
Sure.
And that's what kills it for me.
So
Because
bad.
the final boss, yeah, honestly. Like, the final boss is real hard. He's real bad. He's real hard to defeat. And, like, I get that the story was leading up to that final boss. I just wasn't into it. It wasn't for me. And, like, that's one of the things that and, like, honestly, by the time I was done with that final boss, I never wanted to play the game again. I was like, a lot of FromSoft games have, like, a lot of replay value for me because it's like, oh, there's difficulty and you can build your character in a certain way, and, like,
Right.
it's you triumph over the difficulty and you get better at the game. Sekiro is like a rhythm game. You just have to be good at timing, and that's
Sure.
it. It's not about, like, being intelligent or playing smart. It's about, can you keep rhythm? And as some of my friends know me,
You can't.
I can't. And so that makes it very, very difficult for me. And I had to, like, try my damnedest to beat this boss. And when I finally did, it was like, it was that same FromSoft rush of, like, yeah, I beat the boss, but, like, it was so hard. And it took me, like, 5 days of playing that game and nothing else.
Sure.
I do remember a time span where you were just like, I hate this game, but I need to finish this game.
Right.
Yeah.
I had to
That's
beat
fair.
it at least once.
Yeah.
And, like, I've seen what all the endings are, and the thing is, the endings are just like, eh. I'd love for Sekiro 2. Hey, FromSoft, I don't care about Sekiro 2. Give me Bloodborne 2.
Yeah, we really want Bloodborne 2.
As I just said that, I realized how much I want Bloodborne 2. Hey, FromSoft,
Hey.
whatever this new Nordic like mythology game you're making, Elden Ring,
Eldritch Ring, Elder Wing, something like that.
I don't care.
Elden
Give me Bloodborne 2. You gave me Dark Souls 3. I want Bloodborne 2.
They also gave us Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
They gave us 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I would love a Bloodborne 2. Speaking of sequels, there was very big video game news announced. I believe I told James this. I haven't told you this.
Okay.
Don't
Valve
recall. Oh.
No.
has announced
No, they haven't.
Yes,
a
they
new
have.
Half-Life.
No, they haven't.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. It's confirmed.
It is
Half-Life 3.
No.
What?
It is Half-Life Alyx.
It's
It's
VR
a VR game.
VR exclusive, and there's going to be 3
No.
games in the series. Or are
What?
there?
Yeah, because Valve can count to 3.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure.
Well, no, it's going to be Half-Life Alyx, Half-Life Alyx 2, Half-Life Alyx 2, Episode 1, Episode 2.
Correct. They're really good at counting to 4 and 5.
4 and 5, just not 3.
Yeah.
So Half-Life Alyx was announced as a line of 3 separate VR games. I don't know if they're all Half-Life related, but they're all
believe they
VR
are.
games. If they are, then my mistake.
I'm not sure, but
They are prequels to Half-Life 2, starring Alyx, as the VR game is her magnetic gloves from the game.
Hey, Valve. I know this is gonna get bleeped, but
No.
you. You remember? You guys remember the Sonic trailer and how, like, the studio listened to fans? They spent. I think it was like. I think it's $32 million
I have no idea, but it's up there.
redoing Sonic.
Yeah.
For the whole movie, changing the title character of their thing for the whole movie. Hey, Valve. Knock it the f off.
So,
Make Half-Life 3.
no, don't make Half-Life 3. In all honesty, I don't want Half-Life 3.
What do you want?
If Valve
What
is
do
to
you
make
want?
another game, I either want them to make a new IP or make sequels to the games that we actually enjoy that aren't almost 15 years old.
Their last new IP was terrible.
Or are you talking about the card game?
Yeah.
I'm talking about before that.
Okay.
Like when they made good games.
That's fair.
Like,
But I'm just saying, their
I would
last one
love,
was
personally,
pretty trash.
I know zombie games have been kind of dead for a while, but what better company to revive them than the people who made one of the best multiplayer zombie co-op games? I would love a Left 4 Dead 3.
Sure.
No.
I would really enjoy a Portal 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's one more Valve game series that is complete. Oh, I would love a Team Fortress 3 on the heels of Overwatch 2. But in all honesty, I would want a new IP that maybe isn't a first-person shooter. You know, I think Valve can do more expansive things. They've shown that they can make a very long-standing game like Dota. I would love to see something new from Valve, considering they're a company who have been surviving off of their legacy for almost 10 years now. When did Dota 2 come out? Like 2011?
Isn't Valve
I
Steam?
want to say yes. Yeah,
Valve is Steam. Yeah.
They're not
is Steam,
surviving
yeah.
off of a legacy. They're surviving off of marketing.
And also that they're one of the only... Well, actually, no, because there's the Epic Game Store that's trying to kind of fight Steam right now. I don't know if it's doing well.
They're
Can
doing
I-
There's
okay.
competition.
Yeah.
Can I just say, as much as I like Half-Life, and I played Half-Life 2, and I'm sure the anger from the crowd when they went, a new Half-Life game, it's Half-Life Alyx, a VR game, and everyone was like,
James and Ellie, do you remember when they announced Diablo Immortal?
Oh,
and the entire reaction was, is this April Fool's?
Yep.
Is this a joke? And they were like, nope. And the crowd just started booing.
Yep.
Very similar reaction to what happened when Valve announced that card game.
Yeah.
Where they had the trailer come up and it was like, but a card game. And the entire crowd at E3 just went, boo!
I've seen that video. Yeah.
yeah, Valve,
a trash game,
knock
too.
it off.
Just make
Yeah.
good games.
Give us Portal 3, honestly.
Or a new
Take
IP.
Portal 3.
I
want a new IP.
honestly forgot that Portal was Valve, because it's so good.
Oh, you. As much as we can. That's a bleep. On Valve, they've made good games.
Yeah, and then they
Yeah.
have put them in a vault and forgot about them.
That is true. They are like that stepdad that was nice for 5 years and then just kind of kicked you in the basement.
Also, like, doesn't Portal 2, spoilers for Portal 2.
It's like 10 years old at this
1,
point.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Gladys.
Isn't Portal 2, you get out and it's Black Mesa? Like, you see the Black Mesa sign on the side of the road.
oh, yeah.
and
I
you're
forgot about
free?
that.
Yep.
They've hinted that Portal is in the same universe as Half-Life.
It is.
Give us Portal 3 and Half-Life 3 at the same time.
Ooh.
Okay, but here's the thing. And
like
here's my
that.
issue with releasing a Half-Life 3.
As a new IP.
Half Portal. Portal Life. Portal Life can
Ooh.
actually sound... That sounds like a nice sim with portals. Here's my issue with releasing...
Portal Life, a house building game.
Because more games need crafting in them. If they
Yes.
release a Half-Life 3, in my opinion, it's going to have the same effect that Duke Nukem Forever had. I think that if they release a Half-Life 3, it's going to be the most underwhelming, this is okay, to maybe this is even a good game.
It is almost impossible to live up to the years of hype.
Then why do it at this point?
Why? Because
What
you
if they
do
do it
exactly
good?
what I said. You release Half-Life 3 and Portal 3 at the same time, and you just call it Valve Can Count to 3, and then you just
No.
take
Go
every...
yourselves.
You
They
just
are
go
not-
hard.
They are not
You
releasing
go
a meme
hard.
game. They are not releasing a meme game, all right? OK Boomer has already gone far enough. We are not doing memes in entertainment. Just let them be memes.
It's too
No,
late. It's too late.
here's what... No, listen to this pitch, okay? I'm going to
I'm
pitch you as
listening.
if you are the Valve executive.
All right, all right.
Okay? You're gonna...
Let me be...
Do you know how to wear a tie?
No, actually. Wear a nice bow tie, though. I know how to
Okay.
put on a bow tie.
All right. James, feel free to chime in whenever.
Hi,
whenever you
welcome to
feel-
Valve.
Okay.
So you have something for us.
I hate you. That's not my pitch. That's just you're the worst.
Good start.
Do
Good
you
start.
happen to have a new IP or
Okay,
maybe
look.
something we can
Okay,
profit
here's
off of?
here's the IP. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Uh-huh.
People keep making fun of us.
Yes, they have done that.
They
for
say
a
we
while.
don't know how to count.
Gabe is very mad.
Yes, Gabe. I understand.
Just on your own.
I'm not Gabe. I'm Gabe's little brother.
Oh, interesting. That's good to know because you guys look very similar.
Oh, that's very offensive, but I'll let it roll.
Okay, cool.
My name is Sam.
Okay, Sam. So I've got a new game for you.
All right, what's
Okay,
up?
you know how we ended Portal 2 saying that Half-Life 3 and Portal 2, or Half-Life 2 and Portal 2 are connected worlds?
Wait. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did that. That was a thing that we did.
Yeah,
And
I kind of forgot.
fans were like, "Oh, that's a thing that they did."
Yeah,
Well, here's the game. Okay.
okay.
Well, everybody is dying to know what happened to Chell after she left the Aperture Science Lab.
Our stats are saying they really want a card game.
With a lot of microtransactions.
I don't know who your analysts are, but I'm going to continue this pitch.
We've made a lot of money
they-
off of Steam.
They really want to see what happened to Gordon Freeman.
Okay,
Those
yeah.
are two kind of like big cliffhangers that we've left those games off of.
Yeah, we've made a lot of money off those cliffhangers.
Right. And those are two like legendary people in the world.
So what you're saying is we should make a sequel to another game and leave a cliffhanger?
No.
That made us a lot of money, though.
No. We release a Survivor game similar to the throes of a first-person shooter that has like third-person capabilities, like Borderlands and Fallout.
Is this a new IP?
It is.
No.
And
We want more card games.
Wait, the stats say card games.
the stats don't say card games.
I'm looking at the stats
Okay.
right
I'm
now
looking at the stats right now. The stats are saying card games.
Okay, well, your stats are wrong.
with egregious
we have a
microtransactions.
lot.
All right, Sam, I'm going to speak.
Excuse me.
Listen to this passionate
I will
pitch.
call
You can't
You
talk to
play
Sam Newell
as
like
a
that.
survivor running through the world that is
Okay.
both
This just sounds like
Aperture
Death Stranding.
Science and Black Mesa, the companies that destroyed the world and have caused an apocalypse. It is a multiplayer game in which you create your own survivor and you go through these worlds and you don't play through what happens to Gordon Freeman or Chell, but you find it in the story. You hear about them like legends that have passed away, and you find everything that happened to Gordon Freeman, and you solve all the problems that they fixed. You have to fight Gladys. You can choose to side with Gladys or not.
think
Make
Gladys
an
went to the
RPG off of these wonderful stories you've had. Let players write their own way.
You see, that's not a bad idea.
It's not. And here's the other
But
thing.
the docket just says if we do another update for Counter-Strike, we'll make enough money.
Yeah,
So
no.
we're just gonna make another update. For
you know what, Sam?
Counter-Strike.
Outer Worlds almost killed us. They already killed Bethesda. They won last year's Game of the Awards, Game of the Year edition.
Excuse me. How are you playing Outer Worlds? Yeah, you're playing it on Steam.
Actually, Sam, I don't know how to tell you this. I played it on Xbox Game Pass.
It's also on Steam.
I also got mine on the Epic Game Store. Sorry,
Well,
I'll leave.
The Epic Game Store doesn't matter now, does it? Jealous.
Well, it's been a
Jealous?
year since the Epic Game Store came out. Sam, we're dying. We need something new. We need something to revitalize. We need a necromancer to come in.
Excuse me, nameless no one. Jasper, why are you talking to me in that tone?
I've got a pitch.
You are my intern.
Yeah,
You
but
go
here's
make
the
my
thing.
coffee right now.
As much as this bit is really funny, what is your pitch, James?
My pitch
Yeah.
is Left 4 Half Portal Fortress 3.
Oh God, no.
Episode
I'm
1.
sorry, it has the number 3 in it. We can't do it.
Sorry. Episode 4. We're
like-
skipping episode
wait.
3.
We could have just skipped the numbers all this time. Hold on, let me talk to Gabe.
Actually, wait a minute.
Yeah, Gabe kind of likes that idea.
As silly as that is, there are like zombies in Half-Life, right?
More or less.
No.
They're
Kind of.
They're head
They're
crabs
head
that then
crabs
kill
that-
the host, and the head crabs exist.
right.
Yeah.
So
But they're pretty much zombies. Mechanically.
but it's like canon that Black Mesa killed the world of Half-Life, right?
Just about.
Right. It's a
They're
wrecked
aliens.
survival
Spoilers.
world.
They're aliens.
If you like it also makes sense that like Aperture has been gone for a while. If you can find remnants, like how cool would it be to have an RPG in which you also get a portal gun?
Be pretty strong.
Open world portal gun does sound kind of dope.
Open world portal gun that you figure out what happened to Gordon Freeman, you figure out what happened to Chell, and imagine if like head crabs have gotten to the point where you almost have like Left 4 Dead style AI head crab zombies hunting people.
And it's a class-based shooter.
As a
It's a what?
A class-based shooter. With hats.
with lots of.
We're
hats.
going to need
We need to
microtransactions.
make hats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, we're gonna put in a
as
Dota mode.
silly as that is, you
in
could
a
do
Dota
a
mode.
class-based shooter mechanic on top of an RPG.
You know
Yeah.
what? I actually
Yeah,
really
certainly
like this
can.
idea, Linthers. Do you know what it's missing? It's missing a battle royale mode.
No.
Ooh.
See, you guys are
Drop
making
in
fun
with
of me.
100 of your best
You guys are
friends.
making fun of
Drop
me.
into Black Mesa, boys. Where we dropping?
I mean very
It would kill.
sincerely. Imagine if rather than like forming a group for a class-based shooter, if you were wandering the world and you meet somebody and they're a tank, and similar to Kojima's idea of like you can only really have positive reactions. Imagine if like you can't. There's not PvP, but if you meet a tank, the tank is like, yeah, no, I would love to have someone backing me up on this, and you just
Yeah.
like meet random survivors in the world and you form like legitimate like parties with people as you go throughout the world and help each other tackle situations.
You know what, Linthers, you're describing an actually very interesting and maybe even fun to play game. But we're not talking about sensible people. We're talking about Valve, and what you described is not VR. and probably a 5-hour long game.
And it doesn't have any cards in it.
It doesn't have
from
any
what I'm
cards in
hearing.
it. It doesn't have a top-down Dota mode. It doesn't have microtransactions.
Hey,
It's not gonna
Auto
work.
chess is really
Hey
big.
Valve, my Instagram is at Elenthris, ELLINTHRIS.
Correct.
I would love to do some concept art and work with story basing this this open world shooter. Just get in contact with me. Let's work together. Let's prove to people that you don't have to count to 3 to answer questions.
Hey, Valve, I'm at who's.music. I will happily do the music for your next 10 card games. And I would love to work with you on being a sellout and just shilling out really mediocre games for profit. Please hit me up.
I'm into it.
Don't listen to him, Valve. Hire
Valve,
me.
listen
So
to
you're
me.
not excited for Half-Life Alyx?
No.
I think it'd be, in all honesty, I'm not a VR guy, but it could be cool. It's in the new engine. They're finally making a new engine.
That's good news.
Yeah, it's like Source 3.
I have one final thing to say about Death Stranding and why I nominated it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Seeing as the timer went off. It's just an entirely different game.
I don't know what timer you're talking about, man.
Neither do I. Sorry, it's for my my pills that I have to take.
Those you have to
Yeah,
take
so I'm just going to have to step
from the
away for a
labor
moment.
camp we stole you from.
Correct, yeah,
All
it's
right,
for my
cool,
bones.
cool.
My dying bones.
My dear bones, my dying bones.
It's just an entirely different game. It's very genre defying, and I feel like that's very striking. But like I said, it is also very polarizing.
Speaking of polarizing, because I'm doing a lot of great segues today.
Certainly are right off the cliff with that one.
Justice League. The 2016 Justice League movie. Have you seen it?
No,
I'm sure you have, Elenthris.
Justice League?
Yes, the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure you're familiar with the legend of the Snyder Cut.
What's the legend of the Snyder Cut?
The legend of the Snyder Cut is that there are 2 cuts of the movie, to my knowledge. There's one that was the theatrical release, and there's a longer, more concise version, or a longer, more expanded version that Scott Snyder shot, that the people at DC and Warner Bros. Went, yeah, no. And as of now, every person who worked on that movie, including Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, and the stars of Justice League, are attempting to release said movie. So I want to ask you, do you think that there is any salvation in the Justice League?
100%.
Why? As someone who didn't see it.
Because Scott Snyder had a very long, I don't know if very long, but he had made some very good movies. That's why they hired him. DC has a horrid reputation for submarining themselves because they think their IP should be a certain way. But the thing is that a lot of the directors who pick up these IPs are trying to treat their IP the way that the fans want, and DC's like, we want it to be like we want it to be, and they don't really listen.
Kind of sounds like Valve.
Sounds like a lot of people. But what I would say about that is that I think that there's a lot of potential with what Scott Snyder saw about the movie, because he shot scenes with Ben Affleck's Batman that are ripped directly from the covers of the Frank Miller Batman comics.
Which are some of your favorite comics? Let's point out.
No.
Oh?
No.
I am wrong.
No. Frank Miller is great. He's a legend. He's made Dark Knight Returns, which is a fantastic look at Batman from a different perspective. From he's old and gritty and he doesn't care as much. Quote the line, "This isn't a mud pit, it's an operating table, and I'm the surgeon."
Please tell me that's a Frank Miller line.
It is.
Oh man, what a mess.
And then he chooses to, he's fighting the lead boss of the mutants. Spoilers for Batman The Dark Knight Returns. He's fighting the lead boss of the mutants in a mud pit so that he can throw mud in the mutants' eyes, because he's got the advantage when he's blind fighting because he's Batman, and so he chooses the fighting arena basically. And the mutant guy is like, I'm stronger than you and younger and faster, I can beat you. And Batman just goes, no, you don't understand. This isn't a mud pit. It's an operating table, and I'm the surgeon. And then he breaks the dude's arm backwards.
I just want to point out that Frank Miller as a writer is the most beautiful hurricane mess I've ever been able to read. And he's made some classic material, but my God, is he weird.
Quote the Raven, Batman All-Star. Anybody who's read Batman All-Star,
I've read Batman All-Star.
you've read Batman All-Star?
I recently found this out. When I was a kid, I tried to do a book report on Batman All-Star.
That's really bad.
Yeah, Batman All-Star is one of the first graphic novels I ever read through, and I now understand why I didn't understand what was happening.
Because it's real bad. Because Frank Miller wanted to show his dark, gritty version of Batman and included such things as, like, making a young boy eat rats, painting an entire room yellow so that he could punch Green Lantern in the face and take his ring.
Hey guys, I just took my bone pills. What are we talking about?
What are bone pills, James?
For my bones.
No, which bones?
All of them.
Below the waist bones?
All of them.
All of them. Oh my god.
Correct.
Do you just look like Doomsday when you take your bone pills?
When I don't, I do.
Ooh. And on that note, Batman All-Star is a weird comic book.
It is a weird comic
probably
book.
doesn't deserve to exist on some
No,
level.
I think it deserves to exist. It's the Batman All-Star is a great example of just because you have the best artist and one of the all-time critically acclaimed best writers at the time that it's made doesn't mean you're going to get a good product. Sometimes people hit it out of the park and sometimes it just doesn't work.
And sometimes you make a little boy eat rats.
And sometimes you need somebody to read through your stuff. Like, always have an editor. Always have somebody
course.
who's honest with you and is going to tell you, hey, you need to fix this.
As you were describing to me as I was showing you my album to soon come out, you need somebody to squint at your art just as much as you need somebody to paint it.
Yeah,
That's
really do.
Very important in any form of entertainment that you create. Because Frank Miller may have needed that a little extreme towards the middle to like late years of his career.
Yep. But you wanna read some weird stuff? If you ever like, I have sort of been responsible for getting Who's back into comics, specifically Batman comics. You want to read some weird stuff? Read some Grant Morrison Batman comics.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a really good writer. Like, super good. Like the Sandman books, from what I've heard as like reviews from other people, super impressive. He's an interesting guy. He's inspiring how interesting he is.
Speaking of interesting guys, great segue. James, I believe.
No.
As James is our guest today, this beautiful, handsome, stunningly Death Stranding loving man.
You can't see me, but that's all entirely accurate. Don't look
Could
at
be
me.
Norman Reedus' brother.
For a second, I thought you were
Thank you.
saying I couldn't see you, and I was very afraid of my own
You
existence.
can't
Everybody
see me.
missed the beautiful face that James made when I said he could be Norman Reedus' brother, but it was worth it.
I just want to point out for anyone that does go through James's Instagram that we plugged earlier, he's one of the most beautiful men I've ever seen in my life.
Don't do that, but if you do, like every picture.
Like, I've never seen a man rock a septum ring more than James.
And go ahead and give him a follow.
Please, just
Yeah, you
thirst over his posts.
you can follow
'cause we
me.
all do every day. In
And then
life.
after you follow me, make like 2 alt accounts and then follow me on those 2. And then tweet about it to all your friends, please. Thank
Yes, please do. But seeing as he is our guest, our
What if
lovely guest,
Garagecast never pops off, but James does because of Garagecast?
I think we would.
Don't forget about us.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes your passion is
No
your
promises.
purpose, and maybe our purpose is to make James famous.
I'm good with that.
I'm very good with that.
I'm good with that.
Speaking of which, you are our guest host, so if you have any topics you would like to bring to the two of us, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Welcome to your second favorite podcast within a podcast. This is James's Tidy Corner, and I'm just here to talk to you about some informative, lovely things that you maybe never knew. Did you know that boiled water freezes faster than cold water?
I did know that.
I didn't, but I'm also a baby.
Did you know that the inventor of Segways died by driving a... No, we already went over that one. And thanks for joining me on James's informative corner.
You don't have
Those are my
topics
2
for today,
topics.
do you?
No, I came woefully unprepared. I didn't even have the Segway thing. We talked about Segways, and that's a fun fact.
However,
I did talk about Death Stranding for like 30 minutes, so
we did.
That's
we
kinda
did
my
talk about
topic.
Death Stranding. That was like a pretty good segment.
Yeah.
The Death Stranding segment.
Yeah.
Not with James.
I could do that frequently.
Is there anything you
do
want
that
to rant
more.
about? Please
Rant about?
something. We love hearing your voice.
Oh,
This is so entertaining.
what do you call a nosy pepper?
Oh my god. What?
Welcome to James's Jokes, new segment on the podcast.
He's puns of fun.
I hate you.
He's dropping mega pun bombs.
What are you guys talking about over there?
We're talking about your little.
Whose is the worst?
Sorry.
Whose is the worst?
Yeah, that joke, the first one before the pun bombs, was atrocious.
Are they punishing?
I hate you.
I got a joke for you guys.
What's the joke?
So there's a Spanish magician.
No.
Hey, but the listening audience hasn't heard this one.
Yeah,
so-
they have.
No, this is a
Hey,
this is a
Ellie,
JBC original.
No.
Maybe we should cut it there.
There's a Spanish magician.
So there's a Spanish
God, we're
magician,
doing this.
and he gets on the stage. It's the final moments of his debut act. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. The crowd has been loving it.
What is his name?
His name is not important to the story.
That's actually really sad. We should really want to know what his name is. He's
the
an important human
shut
being.
up.
He
Who's-
wears a mask.
He wears a
Okay.
even
I would
masked
like to
people
get through
wear
this
names.
joke.
Elentris has a mask and she has a name.
No, let's
What's
divert
his
from this
name?
joke a
I
little
wanna
bit
hear
more.
his name.
Rey Mysterio.
Rey-
Parker liked that one.
All right, Rey Mysterio is on stage.
Rey
Continue.
Mysterio's on stage. He is now a Spanish magician, no longer wrestling.
Better profession.
Better profession, correct. And anyway, so he's on stage debuting the final moments of the greatest act of his life. Oh my God. Don't throw that. Don't throw my jokes.
Who's just threw
Sorry.
his phone into the confines of the
It was
garage?
vibrating a lot. I needed to hear James.
That's fair. This joke is very important. And the longer I talk about it, the funnier it's going to be because it's a very funny joke.
Just keep going.
So I'm going to keep going. Anyway, so there's
So-
a Spanish
wait.
magician.
Quick question.
Yeah.
As Rey Mysterio was finishing his joke, does he go, "Booyaka, booyaka, is this your card?"
That might be a better end of the joke. But no, as he's on stage, you look concerned, Alan Chris. You look like you're about to.
can't see, as I said that joke, Ellie just rolled her eyes the most vigorously I've ever seen you roll your eyes.
It almost knocked your hat off, I think.
I'm heavily considering just leaving.
So Spanish Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is on. Well, Spanish Rey Mysterio is on stage.
Spanish Rey Mysterio is
He's a
on
magician
stage.
now.
He's a magician. He's in the final moments of his act, and it's glorious. Everyone's enthralled, enraptured, you might say. Just as the two of you are, I can see you exchanging looks over there. So pleased with my humor.
So James, can you,
Let him get through this joke.
hey, James, can you restart the joke?
Yeah, so anyway, there's a Spanish magician. His name is Rey Mysterio, and he's on stage debuting the final bits of his last and most beautiful act. And wow, everyone is just so happy to see it and so happy to hear this joke. It's not a joke, it's a real story.
It's a real story.
Sorry.
This really happened.
This really happened.
Oh my God.
You can Google
I
it.
swear
yeah.
to God, I will strangle you.
And he's on stage.
How much was the ticket to get in?
That was a little
Elentris
bit
just
of
tried to strangle me.
collateral damage here. I'm glad I'm on this side of the conversation.
All right, restart the joke.
Anyway, so there's a Spanish magician.
my
His name is Rey Mysterio. No one knows his real name, except it's Rey.
It's Rey. It's Mr.
Correct.
Mysterio.
Mr. Mysterio, first name Rey. So there's a Spanish. There's a Spanish magician, and he's on stage, and he's doing really good. And it's this joke is getting worse the more times I tell it.
There's so much backstory we didn't know previously.
Correct. I can go into a little history if you want.
Please. Love to know.
Yeah, so he was born in a small town, Mysterioville.
He was raised in Mysterio.
Correct. Ooh. So anyway, there's a
Is he
Spanish
also
magician,
living in a lonely world?
and he's on stage. It's the final moments of his greatest act of his life. Everyone's enraptured. Everyone's enthralled.
Hit his finisher.
He's about to hit his big finish.
Okay.
But then, anyway, so he's about to hit his big finisher,
Okay.
and he's on stage, and everyone's waiting for the proverbial foot to drop.
Okay.
And he raises his hands as his cape flourishes out.
Should
from
we
underneath
continue
him.
the podcast and end this joke with the end of the podcast?
No, I need to hear the end of this joke. So he puts his hand up. He's got
Puts his
cape
hand
flowing.
up. His cape is flowing. Wow, it's beautiful. The women are swooning. The men are throbbing. Everyone's
finally
just
finish the joke, and everyone's gonna leave the podcast because it's just gonna be like they've been satisfied with this joke,
correct.
You know, Rey Mysterio is going to listen to this and laugh at his own joke.
or sue us.
So
One is, he wouldn't sue us. He's a very nice.
This isn't
he really
liable.
likes comic books. He's probably listening just for the PC conversation.
Hey,
he
Rey
is.
Mysterio,
Hey, Rey Mysterio.
if you're listening to this, I'm sorry.
Hey, Rey
I'm so
Mysterio.
sorry.
Hey, Rey Mysterio, if you're listening to this, big fan. Really loved your coercion with Cain Velasquez on the last Monday Night Raw. Please beat the crap out of Brock Lesnar on, I don't know, SummerSlam, I guess. I
Hey,
don't know
James.
what's coming next.
Can you finish the joke, please?
Hey, Rey Mysterio, if you're listening to this, you're welcome for the clout. I got you. Got you, boy. So there's a Spanish magician. His name is Rey Mysterio. He's on stage. He's about to finish the greatest act of his life.
Okay.
Everyone's enthralled. The men are engorged. The
Yes.
women are
I thought they were throbbing.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
They're both.
all right, cool.
Are we cutting that?
It's not a mutual thing.
I don't know.
Engorged and throbbing?
What is a curse word to you, Ellie?
Piss.
It's not curse word. It's content.
Sorry. We should put a disclaimer on this one.
The best one we've ever done.
Please
pretty good
continue.
bit.
So what's the end of the joke?
So the end of the joke. Let me start from the beginning.
No.
So Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio's on stage. He's a Spanish magician.
He's a Spanish magician.
And everyone's loving it.
Alright.
He's popping off, boy. He's popping off.
He's
And
off the top rope.
he's off the top rope. He's about to be. But as he's standing there on the top rope, he flourishes his cape. Everyone's waiting for the proverbial foot to drop. And he raises his hand and he says, Uno, dos. And just like that, he disappears without a trace. And thanks for listening to Garagecast,
I don't know
everyone. I've
how-
been James.
Have you not heard this joke?
Yeah.
I don't know how long that segment was, but it was too long,
Not long
and I'm
enough.
sorry.
Oh my god.
It was so long.
Holy shit. Oh my
Darby,
god.
cut it out. Just cut all of it.
Hey, Darby, piss butt.
No, do not. Do not.
That's all bleeped.
This whole segment.
Poo poo.
You're just making more work for
Booty.
yourself.
I know, but it's too funny.
The butt could have not been bleeped.
The butt is fine.
It probably isn't.
It was
It's
no,
probably
but
like,
no.
but no.
That's even better, I think.
So bottom line is Rey Mysterio is a great magician. And Rey Mysterio, if you're
That's-
watching or listening, one of the two,
I
use
hope-
your eyes for this as well.
I hope he's watching.
Just know that you're great. And thank you for sticking through this long. And thank you for listening to another episode of Garagecast.
Are we at time?
Yes.
Are we really?
Yes,
like,
we
have you
are.
been timing it?
Yes.
Yum.
We are at time. That is the perfect way to end this.
Is it?
Wow.
I mean, maybe not perfect. Nothing is perfect. We're close to excellence.
There you go. That's all we can ask for.
So, once again, this is Who's.
This episode really disappeared without a trace. And I'm
We really just the booyaka just really kind of hit us all just like all right off the top rope.
Really just took a segue off a cliff on this one, didn't we, folks?
we were going to talk about D&D for a bit. We never did that.
Nope, we instead talked about Rey Mysterio.
For like 20 minutes. Anyway,
Looks like your D&D topic got 619.
I don't know what that means.
James gets it. It's a finisher. He put your head in the ropes. and swings
I'm
you
Ellie.
around and hits your feet into the-
Our
hits his
guest
feet
star
on your
has
head and
been
knocks you back.
You can call me Blue or James.
our guest star
whatever.
has been Blue.
You can follow him at Blue Pixel.
No
you can
ease.
follow Ellenthris at Ellenthris, ELLINTHRIS.
I'm very proud of you. Good, well done.
Yeah, I was really afraid I was going to mess that up. And you can follow me at Who's Not Music or Who's Music. And as always,
Thank you, Miss
Thank you,
Crystal.
Miss Crystal.
you're the worst.